Hello, hello. Hope everybody is doing well. I don't know if anyone's around, but I had kicked this stream around a couple times, so I figured I would just work on a project. If anyone drops by, that is fine. If not, I will see you on Sunday. Thought today I would get all my mixed media things out, and I did an actual test on some gold paint because what I wanted to do is work on a sympathy card for a friend who's pet passed away. So I thought I would go with a. Thought we'll do the actual animal in gold, and I also grabbed some buff titanium because I think that'll work well to make this more yellow lab and less golden lab. But I still wanted kind of a I don't know, sort of ephemeral, otherworldly, sparkly quality to the pup. So I grabbed a few other colors just in case, but I want to basically just sketch them in and then do a funky watercolor background, which is why I grabbed my watercolor thingies. And I think we're going to play with the core colors because I haven't used them much. This is the this year palette. Well, this was the last year palette. We didn't use it all, but Daniel Smith, we have some really cool, like funky colors in, basically, but and some decent sky colors, but I kind of want a ephemeral sky. And I think some of these core, like the cobalt teal, particularly, will look really neat with some of the blues and be a good contrast. Because I think this gold definitely, the gold and the brown definitely lean yellow. So I think the more sort of tealy and blue we have, the more it'll gonna sort of set it apart. I don't know if we'll actually get to making a card today because this will take a while to dry, but we will see where we get to. And if you're catching this on the replay, I'm sure you are in good company because this isn't what I normally stream, so I'm guessing not many people will be here. Anyway, I want something circular to sort of trace to sort of get a vibe for where we want. I kind of want our dog's head to be a little bit low because then his ears can kind of fan out. And then we don't really have to worry about putting the sky at the bottom here. So I'm just gonna, I thought this would be about the right size. We don't need this to be perfect because we're basically going to paint over all this with acrylic so all the lines go away. But we do want to be a little careful when we do the watercolor portion because graphite is water soluble. Anyway, so if this is sort of your head, just looking at a reference photo off screen, sort of the ear itself kind of comes in. So it's sort of, we have sort of the curve of the ear and then it goes down, but it does kind of furl along the back here as well. So you sort of have like an ear shape here essentially, and then you can do a similar thing on the other side where we just sort of trace this off. And yeah, I think I want a little higher so they match a bit more. There we go. And then this will all basically be brown, but if we want to do like the head a slightly lighter color than the ears, I think that'll give us, and we can make these ears when we actually paint them in, we can make them look a little bit better than this. But this gives us sort of this is where we want our sky kind of vibe. Dog in question was a lab, so we don't have a lot of like fur particularly to deal with. We just have like fuzzy fur. So I was actually looking in my watercolor stuff and actually found a huge brush. I think this is, I don't know if this is like designed as an actual brush. Let me grab a brush designed for paint. I think this might have been designed more as like a floofy brush, to like get rid of your pencil bits and whatnot. But fans of the channel will know I have many brushes, so many brushes. This would actually be a good option for the brush I never use, but is beloved by many, which is a quill. And if you hear the fact that they decided to do some kind of street maintenance today, they did. But basically, I want to get the whole sky wet, but I want to be careful around the outline of the dog's head, kind of. Um, I guess I'll take it right up to the edge, and then if we get some weirdness, we can paint over it later. But the neat thing about the quill is you can basically get the tip is very fine, and the rest of it is fairly chunky, so it's pretty good for a lot of stuff. I am using fluid paper because it's my favorite, and I just want to get the paper wet so we can start putting in some fun colors. And particularly with this core paint, like wherever you put color is going to be, it will be there. Make sure I just got the top. You don't want pools of water though, because then you're kind of just oversaturating your paper, but you want it to look wet basically, which I can see. It's hard to just, you can kind of see it on camera. You see how that looks nice and slick? That's what we're going for. Then I'm going to say, where did I put my actual paint? It is here. I believe when I did this, it would have been smart to label this, but I think the stuff at the top is core. So let's go in and play with the teal. I'm going to grab this teal on the end. And it should be pretty easy to tell if it's core because, oh yeah, that re-wet instantaneously. So I kind of want to get this vibrant. This isn't going to be like a, yeah. So I'm just going to do kind of crazy stuff, I think, to really get a nice wet on wet vibe. Let's go in with sort of mid blue. I'm going to mix that a little bit with the teal. There we go. And basically, as you can see, the paint just moves around a lot. But you want to be a little careful on the sides. Although I'm not being a little careful on the sides, but you can be a little careful on the sides. We may want to blot up anything that looks like it will be just kind of crazy. Hey, Jim, how are you? Hey, Bruce. Hey, Ann. I'm just playing with watercolors and making a dog eventually. Oh, yeah, this is a really dark blue. Okay. What I want to do is I'm going to put some of that like super dark blue. How are you, everybody? So I think this is, as you can see, like it goes down pretty harsh, but as you just like let it sit, it does its cool watercolory thing. I want more teal than what we have because this is looking quite blue. Hi, ECR. How are you? How are your tell us all how your Facebook drama is going, if it's, or maybe it's undramaed at this point. I'm trying to get some really dark teal here because I want this. I don't really want any white in the sky. I just want it to be colorful for our sort of kind of vibe I'm going with on this is sort of, I don't know, contemplating the unknown. It was also both of my grandmother's heavenly birthdays this week. So the timing on this was pretty good. I'm just kind of finding I'm just kind of doing this until I make it makes me happy. The secret to like watercolor palettes is they're all going to look kind of jacked up by the time you're done. But this is looking about like I want it. Maybe a purple. Did I put a purple in this palette? Let's find out. Like watercolor is the one time I actually do my job and swatch things. Whoop. Yes, next to the blue is a very dark purple. So we might want to be a little more Careful with the very dark purple. Hey, Kamado, how are you? And I will say, if you're let me just, I'm going to mix sort of the remnant of my teal with this purple to just sort of, I'm going to just put this a little, maybe just sort of haphazardly put this around because I'm kind of liking the sky as being just sort of a contemplative sky. Then I'm going to grab a little more of the, I'm going to put more of the dark purple at the top. This is 4x6, so we can actually lose the sides and bottom on this, so I'm not super worried about that. Let's grab some full strength and just put some of our purple up here. Work a little bit more of it in, but I'm just going to use the tip and make sure I don't have like weirdness here. There we go. That's kind of the nice thing about this sort of watercolor. You can just keep messing with it. And to plagiarize Elizabeth, you can build up the color a lot too. You don't need to. It's not a one and done. It's you can put as much color as you want on. But I think this is about pretty much making me happy. There is that. And as you can see, as it dries, it gets a little bit. I'm just going to tilt this. A little bit. Now I have a dried out baby wipe that I'm going to just tilt this and then dab up any of the like wire that's just sort of running around. With these, I typically wind up cutting off. Well, the sides are glued down, so they can get cut off. We can come in later and do more of this, but I'm liking this sort of granular, crazy look. Like it looks like you're staring out into a night sky, except there's one little. I want to get a little water on my brush. I really want to get in here where I didn't before. There we go. I'm just pulling a little bit of color down sort of into the general ear area. Because the glue runs here and here, like the sides tend to get kind of messed up, and then once you trim the sides off, this kind of, I think this is a 4x6 panel to start with, but I usually trim it down to maybe 3 3/4 by 5 or something. So like a lot of, we can pick and choose with the sky and also like how much ear dogness we want. But since this is silicone, I'm just going to use it to mix my other acrylic paint on. Oh yeah, you should, Don. You should message me. We should do watercolor together because this can be a fun thing. And this will dry back a bit, but the core colors tend to be pretty vibrant. If you look at this, it's not showing quite right on screen, but it looks more vibrant in real life. Now, if I was going to do more watercolor, I would really have to let this dry. But since I'm going to put acrylic paint on it, I think I can kind of guess. My thought initially was that like sort of this like a golden, like a lab like color would be fitting, but now I haven't decided if I like that because I don't know. I almost want to do like a navy, maybe like use that fancy trim or whatever it's called, the decal edge one on it. But oh, thanks, Kamado. Seeing if I missed anything. Now we will. So this is one of my favorite colors that I don't really use for anything, and hopefully, oh, it looks like it's still open. Anyway, this buff titanium, which is like light brown to normal people, is actually one of my favorite colors. I'm gonna work where this brown oranginess is. I don't think any of the watercolor is gonna mix in with my acrylic, but we'll see. So I'm just gonna, you're not gonna need much, but I basically want a lot of brown and a little bit of gold, and I think we can kind of get a vibe going on. I'm also gonna switch brushes. This is Arteza, which is not particularly lovely paint, but it works. I bought a lot of these during the pandemic, and I'm still using them up. They have gone where you can buy single colors, thankfully, but I don't know. It's I would still rather deal with I don't know, paint brand that has actual artists that do customer support. So I'm going to grab a little water. I don't actually want to get this wet because I want this. As you can see, both of these paints are like at least a medium body, so they can probably do a little bit of, get a little bit of brush strokes in them. Oh, hey, Christina, how are you? Um, so I'm thinking, let's just paint the whole thing in gold, and then I think we can come back in with the buff titanium and sort of get like a fur technique, hopefully, or it will not work well at all. But I really want. There's a couple of paintings I've done in the past that I've just really liked. Where I put down a metallic color first, and then when you put other paint over it, especially if you let it fully dry, you get kind of a neat technique. Plus, I kind of want these ears darker, so I'm gonna try and more or less do these like they were finished, but I think I'm gonna do a couple coats. The acrylic, particularly this acrylic, but acrylics generally dry super fast on paper if you haven't prepped the paper in any way, because the paper is pretty thirsty. I don't think I did particularly well with this ear, so let's put in the other ear too and see how we do. I feel like their ear, like Lab's ears, are a little more rounded, and this one's a little flatter. Although, sort of like trees, animals come in all sorts of interesting variations. And I don't know if you can tell on camera, but the this is not particular. This is somewhat translucent gold, so we are likely to want to do a few different coats. But we will get sort of our general dog shape established, I think. And kind of like watercolors, you can always turn things like so that I kind of want to get a more rounded ear here. There we go. That's a little bit better. There we are. And I don't know if it's reading on camera, but this stuff is super reflective in real life. So I'm thinking it's going to give me the look that I want. Just going to come back in with a little bit more. This initial layer certainly is not dry, but it's probably dry enough for layering more paint on top of it. It is. I like the shiny paints. I do think the gold and silver fines are my favorite, but I don't think we're picking up much blue here. Unless I put my hand in the watercolor. This is not wet anymore. As you can see, like it's not shiny, but it's still damp. So I think we're gonna do pretty well on this. Or at least it'll show up kind of the way I want. And what you can do is like if you do have a harsh line, like the one, like our line at sort of the top of the head isn't particularly rounded, but we can just come in and fix it with paint. There's one part that's going to be, Well, what we can do is just mess with this curve a little bit. So that we didn't get this. I need a pokey tool so I don't put my hand in paint. So like there's a little white here I'd like to cover up. So I think I'm just going to make the line of his head a little bit more flatter. There we go. And I'm definitely not a, painter who's like, I think I'm going to let this dry and then come back in an hour and do some more. I tend to just like to do it all in one shot, which kind of has pros and cons. But there we go. I think we covered up that little bit. I just want to get a little bit of color down here because I definitely want to come back in and make his head more buff. So that's probably okay. Let me just wash off my brush and then we will see what happens when we add a little bit of brown to it. And I do have a bunch of browns, so if we want to, we can definitely add more brown to this as well if that seems to work out well as a undercoat. Okay. Let me actually just get this off for a second. Let me just wipe off my brush. But I'm kind of liking this. What I think I can do is come back in with the brown. Now, if you're layering paint like this, I find it's easier if you use a pretty light hand in our a little careful. Like if you like working with more paint here, I feel it is better. But I'm kind of liking this actually. It also depends on your preferences and like how much you like brush strokes. If you use thinner layers, you basically don't get brush strokes at all. But oop, there goes my swatch card for my watercolors. Now I'm liking kind of this general vibe. I don't want to cover up all the gold in the head, but I kind of like this as like I think I want to leave just a little bit to show through. What I'm going to do is I've still got a bunch of brown on my brush. I'm just going to pick up a little gold like that, and then do a little on the canvas mixing just to pull a little gold into this buff color. I think that'll look pretty cool because I really kind of want like a halo look. I may actually leave the ears gold. I mean, I'm kind of liking this as a general look where you have sort of the. I mean, it looks very not the way dogs look, but maybe if we mix a little brown into the gold. I like the idea of the ears being like a shade darker, though. Yeah. Liquitex Weird White. It's rough titanium. It's not white, but it's almost white. You can get the same thing if you add a brown to white. But let me grab some of. Let's just mix these together a little bit and see what kind of a color we. Oh, that's kind of nice. See if we can't get like sort of a goldy buff. Is that a color? Anyway. And having either a paper towel or baby wipe or something around to clean off your brush, if you're me, is helpful because I tend to make a mess when I mix. You can also mix with a palette knife, and that wouldn't be a problem for you. But oh yeah, so I think this will just take the gold down a little bit. Like it'll make it less crazy shiny and more. But I'm not. Ooh, I like that. This is the after look, and the The buff kind of makes it look more like, it makes it look like the gold's more of an undertone, right? You know how like for you have like a dark undertone and then something else. So I think that's going to work. It makes the gold look a little bit less crazy, which is good. I do kind of want to take a little bit of this too and work on this headline a little bit because it was looking kind of harsh, but can bring a little bit of this into the back as well. And I always pick this up and you can look at different angles and do all those things. And you can also do a little dabbing with your brush to give it a little more texture, which will probably look more fur-like in my mind. So I'm going to do that on the ears because my dog always had like fuzzy little frills on her ears. And labs kind of do, not as much as spaniels for sure. But I want to just do a little bit, get a little bit of texture on here. I think that's where we're going to leave the Sky and Doggo piece of this. I think what we can do is I will move this out of the way, and we can contemplate what the rest of this card should look like. Although I don't think, yeah, my much beloved wire thing that looks, it looks really gross, but it only looks gross because it has like a million colors of paint on it. And don't, if your wire thingies have these things to hold your brushes vertically, don't use them. It's really bad for your brushes. Anyway. But I love how the wire color is really granulating, which there you can see it. Like, how cool does that look? Like, that looks like a sky I would contemplate if I was a Rainbow Bridge dog. Anyway, I'm none of those things, but we will set that off to the side. That actually won't take forever to dry. That's the nice part about painting on like watercolor paper or any kind of paper that's not gessoed, because the paper is totally porous. It will dry from the bottom too. So like that'll probably be dry in an hour. Let me just move this out of the way and we will contemplate what we think would look good as a card base. Ooh, ah. All righty. So I guess a quick word on. Oh, do you enjoy it, Don? I like doing it, but I always feel like it's, I don't know, sometimes boring to watch. But I think painting is fun. It's very relaxing. It's very, especially watercolor is very. Sometimes you can't control things, and that's okay. So I was pulling sentiments. I have this one I've never used from Waffle Flower, and I was thinking there might be something here. There's some wire on my desk. Can we? Oh, there's a lot of water on my desk. Perhaps we will move the water before we start doing things. And I still have like I don't think it reads on camera, but I still have a bunch of like lunar. Oh, and ah! Well, that was not very effective. Let's not wipe off with the part that had paint on it. Now I still have like little bits of lunar paste. And acrylic stuff is super easy to clean up before it dries and super annoying to clean up after it dries. So there's that. Maybe I'll grab something that's a little less precious for the moment. Oh, I have a bunch of cards. Oh, here we go. Here's some pink I have some chunks out of. We can look at this. The other one I was thinking of, I really like this Bloom, Grow, and Flourish, although I don't have a die for it. And I don't know. That might work. How big would that be if we stamped it on something? Because we could just put this on like a little piece, but oh, that will be nice. I think. Let's not touch the paint. The paint is still wet. Don't touch the paint. But I think that'll work. And if it doesn't work, we can put it on the inside. Some of these are really nice too. I do like the You Can Always Breathe one. Maybe I'll stamp both and see which I like. Only not in pink, because I don't like pink. But this, I think, would be a good use of brown, too. Hey, Blossom, how are you? Welcome. What do I want? I want to cut down some paper, probably. So I think I can cut both. I think I can do both of these out of one. I just need to make it small enough to fit in the stamp wheel. And then we can always trim these up and then see how they look. And figure out what we want to do for a card base. I was thinking navy. Cause I want it to I want something that's kind of either like this blue, maybe a purple, maybe like a blackberry color. Something like that, maybe. I have too many things on my desk. Clearly. Anyone just departed. I should really organize. But crafting is more fun. I do kind of like that, especially if we do the sentiment in brown. And where's my stamper thingy go? Oh, it's on the floor. I'm really hoping with Craft Roulette we get something on the floor, because I have a plethora of things on the floor because I'm in the middle of like 4 projects at the moment. And then it was kind of a crazy week, so I got none of the 4 projects done in any capacity. So now it's just like there's just stuff everywhere. Here we are. Like, where did I put my stamps? But I am thinking brown. Brown to me feels right. And I really like this stamp, so I hope this one fits. How do we feel? We're gonna have to lose some space on the bottom, but I think that works pretty nicely. I do like this Things Bloom one as well. Let's do that. Let's stamp a bunch of things, and then we can just decide which our favorite is. Want to inset that a little bit because that edge is kind of funky. You Can Always Breathe. I think that was the other one. Yeah, I think those will always. I actually have dies for these. I need to. I really like this set and haven't really used it a ton, but I have dyes for all these, so I need to just like figure out how to do like a whole sheet of these. Oh wow, you have roses already? I mean, I guess it's later in the season than I think it is. I keep thinking like, wow, it's really I keep thinking it's May. I don't know why. But hey, maybe if I over coffee seems appropriate. Oh, the whatever it is, timber, I think from whatchamacallit. The VersaFine Clear and timber is really nice too. And we could potentially use more than one of these as well. Needs a little more, but it definitely needs another application. This pad is kind of dry somehow, but I never think I use it. But I think I have reinkers for all the Browns and Catherine Poolers at least. There we go. But I like this brown because it's a very coffee kind of brown. And my thing's bloom is crooked, but I think we can just cut it and make it straight when we're done. Let's just. I think I got fully there. Yeah, it's weird that we're getting this like weird thing with the bee and the bloom. I don't know what that's all about. Oh well, we don't have to use it. You can always breathe, I like. But this one I think came out the best. So let's see if it will work for what we want. And just clean up our ink. Although I have been interested to try, I think it's a Weeping Willow. It's either Weeping Willow or Wolf in the Astro ink. Stellar ink. Whatever. I can never remember what things are called, but I think someone was telling me that it was a really good brown too. That someone might have been Elizabeth. I'm not sure. I actually put the painting under one of my like desk lights. I'm like, well, maybe it will be a spicy enough light to help it dry quickly. We'll see. If not, I will post this finished card when it's dry enough to like actually assemble. But we can do everything else now. It's funny. I cleaned my stamp wheel base back in like April, and it's still super sticky. So let's cut these out. I don't think we need to like get a trimmer yet, because we're basically just cutting rectangles. There we go. That one I think is my favorite. This one is pretty okay. Oop. There's that. That's a little weird, but we'll live with it. not quite square, but if we could put that on white, and then it would be not too bad. I don't know. This one is kind of jacked up to use, so away it goes. But it's a really nice stamp in any event. We could trim off this side a little hair, I think. Yeah, that looks better. So how does this look on here? I think this works. I don't really want to lose a ton of. If we put it down here, it's kind of big. But I think if we leave this as like a full 4x6, this would work pretty well. I just think we can just make a 5x7 card for it to live on. And I'll save this. I think this would work well as an inside sentiment. And then if I do white on the inside, it doesn't matter. But that means do I really want it to be 4x6? That'd give me a 1/2 inch border. I kind of want this to be more of a 1/4 inch border, whatever that would be. Oh yeah, you could always grunge up that. Like you could use that as a. I should hang on to stuff like that because it would work pretty well as a collage piece. Let's see what my watercolor would be dry enough to work with. My acrylic is definitely not. What do we need it to be? We need to be 10x7, I guess. But I think I want to cut that down. But 10x7 will at least give us a starting point. What would that be if I was doing 1/2 inches? That would be 10x7. Let's do 9.5 by 6.5. I think that's the right math. It'll be not quite an A. It's not quite an A7, but I really don't want too much border on this card. And then I think we just would score at 4 3/4, if my math is correct. But it's a Friday. My math might be really off. That's 3 3/4, not 4 3/4. But I think the 4 3/4 is the right place to score. You can just put the boo-boo on the back. Yeah, that worked out. It's a little. The score line's not quite straight, but we can fix that with a bone folder. There we go. That's pretty okay. Yeah, that's pretty okay. And then let me grab a 4x6 P. Oh, I guess this whole thing is 4x6. Do I have something? Oh, I have one that I pulled off. So this is what 4x6 would look like on here. Yeah, it's too long on one side, so I think we just need to cut off. Yeah, I think we just need to cut off. We need to cut off about 1/2 inch, I think. 1/4 inch, something like that. We'll start with one, and then if it doesn't work, do the other. Here's my other trimmer. What is that other? And then this will be even. This is 4.5. I think I still want a little bit more off than that. Let's take off another 1/8 and see how that looks. I don't really want to make this. Yeah, that I think is about the right amount of matte that I wanted. Yeah. So I guess I just need a 4x6 piece for the inside. Well, that's convenient. I actually have a bunch of those that I bought to make inside pieces of 2 cards with. Can we tell? This still looks... That's pretty dry, actually, surprisingly. Not entirely dry. Needs a little bit more. So we will give it a minute. Man, everybody is just like zooming around today. I got these off Amazon forever ago. But they're basically index cards, but they came in heavier weights, except that one has a boo-boo on one side. But so these work really well for our not quite slightly larger than 4x6 card. And I think we can do this, but maybe mat it a little bit. Maybe see if we can't cut that a little straighter than I did, and then mat it on something. I think the top's okay. It's just the other dimensions that are a problem. Yeah, that's better. I'm just sort of shaving off stuff because I didn't leave myself a bunch of white space, but I'm hoping to get this just slightly. Yeah, there we go. Now I just took off like a fly's eyelash, but it looks much evener now. And we have a bunch of this extra brown that we just cut off to make the card base, so I think we can use that for that. You could also potentially put like a little something. I should look at my... Yeah, we can just glue this down and then cut it off and it'll be fine. I should look at my binder of dude stamps, wherever I put that, to... because I might have Dog Dad Ian in there, who would have dogs, and he could put stamp a little dog on the inside. I mean, I think I have the Simon Hurley dogs and a few other dogs too, but I think that would be a cute touch. Although thinking about this now, I don't know if I have... That's pretty okay. I think I will have to cut into another. I think that'll look nice. Let's see if we can find a stamp, because there's so much room here. I feel like, I guess we could do a flower too. A flower would be nice. That kind of goes with the inside sentiment, or the other sentiment. But I don't love these flowers. So, oh, we have... Random water that I put my hand in. No, we have this left over, which might be nice. Kind of like that. Put a little pop of purple, which is not my favorite color, and has nothing to do with the card. Well, I guess they're purpley blues in the sky, but So I think that would look kind of nice, and then put a jewel on that because life's too short to fussy cut flower centers out. See how this is doing. I think this is so. That's definitely dry. Or dry enough to not be a problem. There's some wetness in there still, but we can, yeah. We can put together probably the inside of this. I should look for some more black to matte, or should find something to matte on here. I don't think I saved. Guess I'll have to cut into some more brown. Sadness. Ooh, although I have these remnants, this might work. It's not the same brown, but I kind of like these together. How does that look with our sky? Let's try not to. Oh, I kind of like that because these two browns are pretty close. I think I'll use this sandy color. I sort of like that because we have a lot of sandy color in the dog, so it makes sense in my brain. What's going well? Ow. Chopping off your eyelash is not fun. The stupid smoke has been around here the last couple of weeks. Really has messed up my contacts, so I've been going through them really fast. And then I thought I was out of them, so but not, luckily. But yeah, cutting off eyelashes, not fun. Hopefully you can see. Oh yeah, I like this. This is actually a remnant from an album I made. That's this is all sea themed, but it's a solid that's not quite a solid on the back of that. There we go. I don't know if I want to take down that border a little bit though. Where's my piece that's still not dry? How do we feel? I don't hate it. I can think that'll work. I'm kind of liking how this is coming together. I don't like that I made a sky and now I want to cover it up, but we could reverse them though. Like we could say, if we want to do more sky, we could do like you can always breathe. Although then I'd have to cover up the teal. I kind of like the bigger sentiment. That seems too small. I like the size of this. Although that's the thing about backgrounds, it's like you always feel annoyed that you spend all this time on the background only to cover it up. But you can still see a bunch of it at the side, so I do think this will look pretty cool. This is actually riff on a really old craft roulette card from Christina Werner, who did one with a cat, not a dog, but in a rainbow. But so this is totally dry. This is totally dry. I think we're dry enough to do this. So with these, if you have one of these pokey tools, they are great for this. But you basically just want to get something underneath the just one layer of this paper to peel it off. And I may or may not clean up this edge depending on how well it If the edge comes off and doesn't look super messed up, I'll often just leave it because I kind of like the idea of this actually worked pretty well. You can rip and get things messed up if you really want to. Depending on how much glue gets stuck on the paper, I have very little today, but if the actual glue bits get stuck here and you don't like that as a look, and I kind of like the seeing the edge because like it makes it feel like it's an actual painting and not just like fancy background paper you bought. But I think this works out pretty well. We could this corner we didn't really get any gold, so we could trim this ever so slightly and get rid of that and get rid of the we could get rid of that, I think, and be okay because we have I think I'll get rid of that little itty bitty piece, but I think I'll leave everything else intact. Actually, it's more than that little itty bitty piece. I think I'll just leave this intact and have it be a painting as opposed to a thing that we are cutting down and dealing with and treating more of a card. I'll just let that sit for a second and let's just put the inside together while I'm thinking of it. Ruh-roh. Or fix your tape gun that's not working and then see if we can get this working. It started rolling tape on this piece, so hopefully, there we are. We're fine. Sometimes these things will be overly temperamental. I would say I've only been streaming 56 minutes, so there's really no reason to not do painting more often because it's not like it really takes a ton of time, at least the way I do it. I mean, obviously, like everything else, you can spend as little or as much time as you would like on it. That looks about right. And we'll put a little flower in the corner. This was actually left over from my stream with Lala, where I had a bunch of flowers and didn't know how many of them I wanted to use in my journal. So I just hung on to it. That's usually I aspire to be one of these people who like die cuts all sorts of things ahead of time and is very prepared for any situation. And then it's like, look, I have my whole bag of die cuts that I made just in case we needed this to occur. And I kind of like that I hand cut these sentiments because they're not perfect, which I think kind of goes with the general vibe of this whole thing. Let's just grab a purple gem while we're at it. Let's put a little flower center. The thing that's wild is these are almost perfectly matching colors and they're not at all from anything the same, but sometimes you get lucky. There's that. So I think we're going to definitely want to glue this down. That is one of the things. This one isn't particular. This doesn't look particularly warped, but I would say anytime you're dealing with any kind of mixed media stuff, you're not going to get the paper to be as flat. And I do like leaving this intact too, just because it's, I don't know. Every time I get a card that looks like someone like painted on the card, I always think it's just the coolest thing. And the other benefit to using wet glue is if we don't like how we put this down, it's not the end of the world because we can just wipe it off. This is going to be a little trickier to glue than that actually worked pretty well. Sometimes you may want to once this glue sets, you may want to come back and may look for any areas that didn't get fully adhered because if the paper warps, it can be a little bit odd. I feel like you'd run to like catch some sort of animal blossom. Like if a chicken got out, you'd probably run after the chicken. But because this is such a thick paper, like you get this really cool. It doesn't read well on camera, but because the watercolor paper is like, oh, I could look at and tell you what it is, like what it's. Does it say what it's actual? So it's 300 GSM, which is probably 2 times thicker than heavyweight cardstock. So it has a lot. It's got a lot of character. Anyway, let's cover up the pretty sky with the sentiment that I rather like, and I think we will call it a day. And just figure out about where we want this. But I will say, I did not have. Who is it? Someone Cat Scrappiness actually makes a pet sympathy stamp, but I didn't have one, so we just made up our own thing. And clearly, a lot of you enjoy painting, and I have an absolutely obnoxious amount of paint, so I think we'll probably do a little bit more. Oh, that's a good idea. I'll have to find that. Lace would be really good on this. Or yet, like, even if I find it after the fact, you could do like a nice like tie. Like you could almost do like a lace belly band kind of thing. Or you could put some lace. There's plenty of room on the lace on the inside too. Actually, you could do something. You could, if you put the lace like wrapped it around a panel, you could put like a brother or sister panel here too. So there's cool stuff. Anyway, so thanks for hanging with me on a weird date and time, and I'll see you guys what feels like tomorrow, but is actually Sunday. But yeah, this was fun. I liked how our sparkly card came together. But good to see you as always. Any thoughts or ideas, feel free to just drop me a note. And hopefully our friend Elizabeth will get her chats back at some point in the future. But till I chat with you, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your weekend.